This is the Night Wolf howling at you, and today we are taking a look at the Turtles of Grayskull Splinter-Skull Spiritual Sensei figure from the Ninja Turtles MOTU crossover line. This would be the third figure in the line to come with a MOTU part. Good lord, would you just give us the rest of the damn thing already? Please, this is getting to be annoying. I'm also wondering who the last figure is going to be to have it. I had thought for sure that the April O'Neil was going to be a deluxe figure, but they dropped those pre-orders and she is part of the standard wave. So I'm at a total loss at this point. Since Target's the one that's getting the Build-A-Figure parts, I have no idea what's going on anymore. So we see some standard artwork for him with the staff, sword, spear thing that they've created. On the side, we just have some more artwork of Splinter and some more artwork of Splinter. And on the back, we see our four turtles with Casey and April and He-Man. As, again, is this supposed to be the spirit of Splinter, or is this combined with the spirit of Grayskull, or is this actually Splinter there physically? After the turtles vanished, Master Splinter entered a deep meditation. Time and space faded away when he heard them far, far away. Splinter let go of all attachment to his physical form and followed their calling. It took him to the first planet of the universe, Eternia, where he suddenly appeared at Castle Grayskull as a spiritual embodiment of the power of Grayskull itself. So yeah, I guess that means he is supposed to, in fact, be a spirit and not physically there. That seems even weirder now. Then he comes with the Spear of Grayskull, which is basically a stubby chibi version of the sword attached to a walking stick. And this version of Metal parts comes with the torso, which should have, once again, been the first item they gave us. So let's open this sucker up. So we have a list here of all of his removable parts, and it appears that the tail is also removable. That's kind of cool. All right, real quick, let's just go over the metal bottle part, which again is the chest piece and the shell. Now, again, in my humble opinion, this should have been the first part we got, so that as the other parts came in, you could just attach them. And obviously, if you look in here, it is designed to work with the whole metal effects thing, I guess you could say. And you can actually take the chest plate off, and we get that clear gear set inside to give us the effect that we have with Roboto, so that's cool. So when we spin that, the gears also spin. So at least they gave us that, right? And then, of course, you can see this thing at the top in the neck hold spinning. So that will activate that button on the bottom of the head. Which, of course, once we get all the parts, I will do a full build and review of the figure. The shell here is also really heavy duty. There are lots of holes in it, presumably to attach the attachments that come with the arms. And I think the only parts we're missing now are the boots and one of the arms, because it's only 4 parts, right? Yeah, so. And the shell only fits on the one way. What's weird to note here is that it feels like there's a bunch of stuff inside of here. I don't know if it's just, the way they designed it so that what's in those holes holds onto it. But yeah, it just, I don't know how well you can see this. But yeah, you can see it's kind of heavy duty inside there. I think it would have been cool if they'd made it so that the shell did something else too, but obviously it does just kind of works as a standard shell shield with the hand there. So I guess that means the metal bottle will have a regular hand as well as the robotic stuff. Set that aside. We got the little informational card here for Splinter. I believe we will not be able to get him into that pose no matter how hard we try. On the back, Splinter-Skull, Spiritual Sensei. Grayskull Master Powers. Splinter, Enhanced Strength and Speed. Master of Ninjutsu. Wisest Sensei / Talking Rat to ever exist. Grayskull form. Physical manifestation of the power of Grayskull. Astral projection. Ancient knowledge of Eternia. But now, back of the box just told us that that he was there in spiritual form. So is it physical or spiritual? Come on, man. Let's keep our stories straight, shall we? We aren't politicians. Yet. Anyway. Yeah, his tail does come off. Surprisingly, the tail is on a hinge joint and a peg. Well, the peg's not the surprising part. Although, a lot of the pegs have had like the little mushroom top on it to help hold it in place when it's in there. This does not. So, it just slides in there and hopefully he doesn't lose. I'm a bit surprised though that they didn't put another joint right here. Either possibly a hinge or a spin. Pop his head off. I think it'll be easier to look at it. So they are trying to, of course, replicate the King Grayskull look. Specifically, of course, this is the Revelations King Grayskull look. And I am honestly curious as to see how much of this stuff comes off of him. You know what? Let's just go ahead and do that now. I know, I'm doing this kind of weird order this time. All right. He's got a butthole. Skirt piece comes off. It's a solid piece. It does have the cut in the back, however, so the tail can be in there. The harness. Now, I had originally thought that they were going to use the same harness from the King Grayskull figure that came with the Eternian playset, but they may have used that as the base design, but obviously they turtleized it, so that you can stick a shell back there, like so. And it too is a separate piece. And last but not least, we have his vest top, I guess. Bro, man, Splinter is really hitting the gym recently. It looks like they used Beastman's body and arms, although it is a new hand. Sorry. He's a gym rat now. I wonder how well the harness fits without the harness is really, because it is designed obviously to go over this. The harness is super loose if you use it by itself, so that's kind of a disappointment, but not surprising. His cape is also fully plastic. It does look like they just laid it out the exact same way they did the cuts for the Origins King Grayskull, but it being plastic is a disappointment. I mean, actually, it looks like it is designed literally to just sit on him and not attach to anything. That is also kind of disappointing. I do know that there's at least one person, and my mind is blinking out at their name right now, and I apologize, who was planning on using the Splinter-Skull parts at one, or at least the cape, to make their own King Grayskull using the Barabusa King Grayskull head. So I think it's worth it to try to get the Masterverse cape online if you can, or if you can get the Masterverse figure for cheap. Well, let's go ahead and put Splinter back together. And here he is with the cape on. And it doesn't look too bad, but I still think I would have preferred the cloth cape. So articulation wise, fully decked out here. Of course, if you attempt to turn his head, the cape goes all over the place and eventually falls off. Basically, I think if you have the cape on him, you're only going to get a slight range of motion, and you'll have to reposition the cape afterwards. So there's that to consider. The arms, of course, with the cape in place, you can only get about yay far up and down because the cape does interfere. And of course, since it is a hard rubberish plastic, it's not going to really move out of the way without, again, dislodging the cape. So let's get rid of that. Actually, wait, one more thing to check. Waist swivel with the cape. That's the one thing that isn't really hindered by it, although you do have to have his tail down, but you have to have his tail down to wear the cape in the first place. So now, let's get rid of the cape. Without the cape, we can spin the head in a full 360. The hair that's all over the place, front and back, does kind of get in the way, but doesn't make too much of a difference. His little ratty teeth don't really get out in the way either. We can hinge the arm up and down and spin it around per normal with our our MOTU figure style. Arm has a standard hinge at the elbow, a little less than 90. Spin it all around, do the hokey pokey. Wrist has a swivel. Wrist also has a in and out articulation. I do believe that at least the right hand here is a fully new sculpt compared to the previous hands. On the other hand, the left hand is most likely a redo of a Beastman hand. But we also have this somewhat open clawed hand that we can replace the left hand with. Waist swivel, as per normal. Oh yeah, the head did have the ball joint, by the way, where you go up and down. Of course, the cape interfered with that too. Now, the skirt's probably going to interfere with a lot of our leg stuff. So we kick up, we can get not quite as far because, again, the skirt kind of gets in the way. Back's a little better because we do have the opening in the back. We can kick out. We got the normal bend at the knee with the swivel there. And actually, that joint feels kind of loose on this figure. Boot cut. And we have the rocker, the hinge up and down, and can spin. And it does appear that our Splinter here has new feet sculpted for him. He also comes with the Spear of Grayskull, which is his walking stick with a, like I said, I'm just referring to this as a chibi power sword with a long handle even. We can fit that in his hand like so. We can have him hold it. Of course, I've placed a gripping hand, but oh well. Like you might a spear. And let's swap out the hand here real quick. So in this case, you can have the stubby sword and the walking stick cane in both of his hands. The tail articulation is, of course, that spin that we mentioned before. Without the little mushroom part, though, we can't get it to stay in very well. But we can get a spin, and when we spin, it pops out. And we have a hinge so that we can move it up and down. So depending upon your preference for how you want Splinter's tail to sit, you can have that option. I think something like this is going to be your most likely display option with this figure. He doesn't look too bad. He definitely does not resemble the old man Splinter, but I mean, this is a MOTU bodied Splinter, so I'm not sure what else you would expect. I do wish that the cape was cloth. I think it would look better, but it probably would have been more expensive for them to make. And who cares, right? I think that will conclude our look at the Splinter-Skull figure. Let me know what you think. And I really wish I knew who was going to be the last Roboto part figure and that it would come out. Because I really want to finish off my Metalboto at this point. It's getting to be annoying. You hear that, Mattel? It's annoying. These 4 parts for this figure should have been out sooner together, because that having it done this ridiculously long way increases the likelihood that you are going to lose parts. I think that's it. Please like, comment, subscribe. Peace and love.